probably their own fault that they left it slip at the end. Myself and Jimmy, we're at that game, we'll be talking about it later, but it does count, that fast start that Fossa had. Did you think that was crucial as well?
Yeah, the first thing to say, Murt, is that this is from before this championship even started. Fossa have been completely disrespected. I don't understand why that has been the case or where it's come from. Like, they got to the final last year, they lost by a single point to Milltown Castlemaine. They could easily have won that match. They have the Clifford brothers, who are arguably the two best players in Kerry and two of the best footballers in Ireland. They started the championship as 12-1 outsiders. Even on Saturday morning, we were down to the last 8, and I think they were 10-1 to go all the way. And I think they might even have been 2 or 3-1 to win the match on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. It beggars belief, in my opinion. I think I said it on the programme last week. I fancied Fossa to win the game. As John said, like, when the Cliffords are up for a match and when there's a game that whets their appetite even more than a normal game of football does, because we know they are football addicts and they love the game and they love their club.
Yeah.
But this was always a game and an opposition and a venue that was going to get their blood pumping. The Fossa, and as John said, the strength in depth that maybe wasn't there before. Like, they've come up from 4-3 and 3-2 and easily held their own in 2 over the last 3 years without the Clifford brothers in the County League. So they're greater than the sum of their parts, and the players now that are developing, Kieran O'Sullivan, huge addition from Nemo Rangers this year, Cian O'Shea developing into a massive midfielder. Rian Collern was outstanding at the weekend. Emmett O'Shea, who's an excellent forward in his own right, well capable of getting scores even if the Cliffords weren't there. So I'm not surprised at all that Fossa got the win.
Yeah. Jimmy, as a man who doesn't like Fossa and has said it at a very early stage that they weren't that great and they didn't have, other than the Cliffords, they didn't have much, in fairness.
Apart from the Golden Nugget, would that be correct for Jimmy?
It would. No, I think they have relented. They will leave them in for soup and sandwiches, but no alcohol can be consumed. But yeah, Jimmy, when you're looking at them and you're looking at the team they have, you have to also give credit to their backroom. You have Adrian Sheehan, you have, I think, O'Sullivan's in with them, and you have Eamon Fitzmaurice. Now, Eamon, like, regardless of what people say, I mean, he's a master tactician, he's a good coach, and if you have that experience in there, those domestiques, as we'd call the likes of, Cian McCarthy, Myers, Paddy Sheehan, these fellas, Dan O'Keefe, all of them lads have been playing County League and they've been playing to a system. And I think they've got to stage now, and you introduce then the Cliffords, Matt, bringing these guys into them, and they really have it now down that they are a force. They're a very good intermediate team, if not better.
I think, remember that for most of my lifetime, and with no disrespect to the great players like Donald Sullivan and these, Fossa would have been thrilled if they could get over the line, the novice.
Yeah,
I mean, winning a junior title,
just like John Kennedy would
have
be.
Been, but it. No offense, Tasty, but that's absolutely Fossa word there.
Forest Spillane Cup, is it, or Father Galvin Cup?
They have the Father Galvin Cup.
Father Galvin Cup.
Who I think he was actually president of Austin Stacks at one stage.
He was, yeah. Father Michael Galvin.
Great football man.
Great man, great football man. Lived to good old age as well.
You mentioned the Fossa management, and it is an absolutely outstanding management team. But the thing is, for me, if you look at the age of those players, Fossa, people like Dermot Clifford, James O'Shea, I couldn't name half the people involved.
Most of them younger than yourself.
They've been working on building this team for a generation. This isn't out of This isn't out of nowhere at all. Work started on this 20 years ago, while a lot of us weren't paying attention. And you can say, David and Paddy Clifford, oh my God, they came out of nowhere. They didn't come out of nowhere.
It's like a story like Temple Road. Do you remember Temple Road came up from Division 4 or 5 and way up, and now senior club. A similar story, really.
Exactly. They brought a generation through, and they brought them seeing the club as their place, their community. And Fossa are now on a huge height. There's a growing population out there.
They're mostly Crokes fellas that live out there, I know.
But it's simply an issue, and it's an issue in Tralee, it's an issue in Dingle. You'd be surprised how many of the traditional big urban clubs in Kerry, and my understanding is it's a national trend. Young families can't afford to buy a house in the urban areas, so they're moving out.
You know, we have a demographics officer in Kerry called Michael Murphy from Knocknagosh. Now you're taking over from. But go on, you make a very good point.
This is going on. Dermot O'Shea has done work on this. John Kelly, Pat Bland did an awful lot with
Kennedy.
it.
Oh, John Kelly, sorry.
John Kelly, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I got mixed up.
John Kelly is Kerry.
But you know something, Jimmy, as well. Sorry for you made the point about the management, but you look at the players. We saw them up close twice now. The condition of them, the work they're putting in. You can have the best management team in the world, but if the players don't respond,
they must buy into it.
I think the work they're doing, the fitness they have, and the conditioning of them compared to 2 or 3 years ago, massive work.
Massive work,
I thought even last year, you drove through Fossa during their All-Ireland campaign. And I thought that All-Ireland campaign, the bit of tiredness from that, I keep harping on that I don't think players are getting enough of a break in a season. I thought that maybe legs would catch up with them. I actually thought, if you remember their opening game against Beaufort, they ended up losing it by a point. But for the first 40 minutes, I mean, I criticised them for it. I make absolutely no apologies or excuses for that.
Actually, you know? They said it to me. Jimmy was very critical about 40 minutes against Beaufort.
But the couple that I spoke to agreed with me. I'm sorry.
No, their ex-Crokesville is living in Fossa and agreed with you.
I'm not having any dig, but I'm just saying no one's here to put lipstick on things. When a game is bad, we have to actually say, look, that's bad. And they were bad. And I think that might have been why there was a bit of underrating. I'd also, until last weekend, I'd kind of forgotten, with all the talk about the Cliffords, and they do deserve it. If you remember, Shane O'Sullivan had an absolutely spellbinding year last year. That's one of the best keepers. Himself and Sean Coffey are absolutely outstanding. I just saw there today, Casper
Are you suggesting that the Clifford brothers are not good footballers? You're just saying you dismissed them.
What I'm saying,
look, Strickeen is behind us.
What I'm saying is that they're far from the only football they're not carrying a team. You know, Cian O'Shea
playing well though.
Well, when it came to trumps, Rahaleys have been winning those kind of midfield battles and so on.
With David Moran and Tom Hoare.
Cian O'Shea was up there with them last week. And these are the players, I mean, there's no two players going to win you a championship.
Would you put him in with...
And not the intermediates, which is an
team. Would you give him a shout with Kerry, Cian, or is he...
I keep saying it, you see, we'll be looking at it at the end of this championship and, you know, who do we bring in? And the truth is, you can bring in 150, but you can't train 150. I'm sure all of these will be called in and given a look. And a see. You've a couple, I think the last day, there's 3 Dara O'Connors. You could nearly... You know, you've Rahaleys, you've Beaufort, you've Kenmare. You could nearly call all of them in.
We had 3
all playing very well.
Do you remember the time, Jimmy, we had 3 Ronan O'Connors, Kilcummin, Ballyduff and St. Michael's Island, and you confused the 3 of them. You called them all Ronan O'Connors.
I remember at the time talking to Tim Moynihan of Kerry Radio. He said, at least you can do something about it in paper. What am I supposed to do? Run on O'Connor to run on O'Connor to run on O'Connor.
I think it's going to be a sore one though, Murt, for Kerrin's Rahaleys.
It is. What's the reaction? What do you think the reaction will be?
I think, you know, they look back on it now and they realise they got 13 scores from 29 chances and they got off to a really bad start. Their first half performance wasn't up to the standard that they had showed in their previous matches, and then inspired probably by Tommy Walsh coming off the bench at half time, they improved considerably, but they still wasted far too many opportunities. Like, they'll feel they could have won the game on the second half showing, and if they'd have got through, who knows how far they'd have gone, because I think they were another team that were kind of underestimated at the start of the season, and they did very well to win their 3 group stage matches. And like, there was always a reason why David Moore and Tommy and Barry John Keane hung around for another season. You know, they still have great pride in the
Do you think they should hang around maybe for the county championship?
Well,
with St. Brendan's,
from my point of view, I would hate for the 3 of them if that was their last, in inverted commas, big match at the top level. if they're asked in by James Costello to get involved with St Brendan's, I would love as a neutral if they do, because they do have the memory of losing the county championship final with Kerrin's O'Rahilly's only 3 seasons ago, and they don't have a Bishop Moynihan Cup medal in their grasp, and before they end their careers. And I do really believe that St Brendan's are dark horses for this county championship later in the year. So yeah, most definitely, if James calls them in, I would love if they can be involved.
Yeah, to finish on this game, John, obviously it's a difficult venue because there's a huge crowd there. You don't have a stand there as such. Like, I think that's all due to they're so close to houses there that have to move out there to put a stand there up a certain level. There's no press facilities there, basically. Again, one of the reasons they can't build a decent press box. They had a kind of a cement one. You'd go in there. I went in there so many times and I had a big lump on my head because when you kind of put your head up, you hit the cement. And if there's a match between my head and a cement block, as Jimmy will tell you, the cement block always wins. Isn't that right, Jimmy?
I'd always be supporting the cement block.
Yeah, you see, when you have friends like that, who needs enemies? But John, looking at it, and there was some people were given out who shouldn't be given out about that element of it, you know, the camera work, etc. I tell you, if you were up there, or if you could climb a ladder like myself and Jimmy had to, it's difficult. But that aside, do you think that Fossa, now that they're in the semi-final, we'll be discussed it, so just briefly, do you think that was a game that kind of defines them and puts them in a position now where you can say, yeah, these are contenders, these are real contenders?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I thought they were contenders even early on, Murt, but this was kind of an acid test at the moment.
Yeah.
Went to Strand Road, playing Kerrin's O'Rahilly's, and to win and the way they won, you know, and the balance of the team. I think the confidence is there. They're back in the semi-final. But to agree with what John said there, you know, 13 scores for Kerrin's O'Rahilly's. Jack Savage got 9. You got 4 points on the rest.
Yeah, it's not a
That
lot,
was probably the Achilles heel on the night, you know. And we've spoken about the Fossa with the spread of players, and they're not totally dependent on David to shoot the lights out. He got 5 points the last day.
Yeah.
But it is being balanced around and evenly balanced with the others.
Spread of scores.
Correct.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think that was a crucial one.
Yeah. Well, we'll be talking about Fossa again when they reach, when we preview rather the semi-finals at the weekend. So next, now we're going to look at, I think, which is really, despite the fact that it's my club that was involved, Glenbeigh-Glencar. The victory of Glenbeigh-Glencar up in Beaufort, that was one that really caught me. Not because I would want to demean Glenbeigh-Glencar in any way, but having seen Beaufort, a lot of the lads saw Beaufort against Fossa and were impressed, Jimmy. But myself and John O'Dowd, and I'll go to John first, we saw them out against Desmonds, and like Darragh O'Connor, like we were raving about him, Kieran Dennehy, and you had Ronan Murphy at midfield, Mike Breen, Sean O'Brien, like our man of the match. And we were saying, I know they didn't have the Dennehy brothers, these guys are going to rattle it. And I was thinking in my own mind, probably themselves and the Stacks now are the two that should be making the final. And yet, they fell behind early, and you're the likes of Gavin O'Grady, Darren O'Sullivan, these guys, they've been around for a while now. Experienced. Patrick Kenny lasted until the 38th minute, the 32nd minute. But like, that was some win. Was it tactically Peter O'Sullivan got it right? Was it the fact that maybe Beaufort underestimated them? Or did they just have bad luck on the day, John O'Dowd?
I'd say you could nearly say there's probably a mixture of all of those elements involved in the result. First thing you got to say is that it's been an outstanding season for Glenbeigh-Glencar. No matter what happens now for the remainder of the year, they got promoted out of a very difficult Division 2 of the County League into the top flight for next season. That's a stunning achievement. Peter O'Sullivan has already proved over the last numerous seasons with Kerry in the county championship that he's an excellent manager, always capable of getting the best out of each team that he has at his disposal.
Very calm and laid back manager too.
Yeah, but this result was definitely a mild surprise. You could never say it's a shock, because in a local derby, the general form will go out the window and neither side will be afraid of each other. You'd have, from a Beaufort point of view, you'd have to be disappointed. Like,
This is not their first time.
No.
I have nothing against Beaufort, but
They've
this
been-
is not. I remember against Nagrail, I think it was 2019 or whatever year it was, of a Saturday morning, and they were hot favourites. Nagrail were missing Jack Barry and lots of the lads, and they met in the car park. They were going to give a walkover. They played the game, and they beat Beaufort, and I couldn't believe that result. And again, on Saturday evening, I found this difficult to believe.
Yeah, they've been there or thereabouts, especially in this competition over the last numerous 4, 5, 6 seasons. And it's a competition that they really want to win and that they believe they're good enough to win. Another fine manager in Ian O'Malley who's been there for a little period of time as well.
Yeah, he's a good
I
guy.
think they would have expected to get over this one. So maybe that touches on the possibility of a small bit of complacency. Then you say as well that luck didn't go their way as well. Do you know, Dara O'Connor hit the post. There was a couple of other chances that hit the post during that game as well. There was misses. They fought back with 2 late scores to try and get the equaliser, but they just ran out of time. I think most certainly an opportunity missed from a Beaufort perspective.
Yeah.
They should be in the semi-finals. They'll have to wallow in that now for a while before they face into the Mid-Kerry Championship later in the year. But I think this is going to hurt them big time, this particular result. But from a Glenbeigh point of view, they're just, you wouldn't like to say that they're overachieving because they possibly feel that they have the squad that are certainly should be among the contenders for this trophy. But from the outside perspective, you might think that they are overachieving a small bit. But as well as the experience that they have, there are players like Liam Smith at midfield who are really, really developing.
That's right. John Kennedy, if you look at it, Glenbeigh-Glencar, their players, if they had Pat Kilkenny fully fit, and we don't know, he went off and he had been out for a while, and his first cousin, of course, is Gavin O'Grady, and Gavin was going, I think, on Sunday to Dubai. I hope he's coming back. I presume it's a holiday he was going to. He's a sister out there, and he teaches in Presentation Milltown. That's probably back to school the following week, first week in September, so I don't think he's going there for any length of time, but surely he'll be back for Sunday. They need Gavin. Darren has kind of got a new lease of life, as well as a new haircut. And you have Liam Smith at midfield. You have Kieran Doyle, who's come back in. He missed a lot of time with them. He's in the back line. You have the Roaches, Liam and Dawn. I don't know where Sean's gone to. But there's a load, Colin McGillicuddy and Liam Smith at midfield. Yeah. Liam Smith, now you're a man who was around a lot of good midfielders in your day, although you weren't a great midfielder yourself, because you played in the forwards. But you, the likes of Jacko and these guys, and you see Colin McGillicuddy at midfield, and himself and Liam Smith, and they were up against Mike Green, a current Kerry player, and Ronan Murphy, who had a great game in Castleinland and has been one of the better club midfielders, I would suggest, in the county from Beaufort for a good number of years now. He's not that old either. Do you think that could be a big bonus for them the next day, based on what they're seeing, to have a guy like young Liam Smith kicking 2 points and dominating midfield?
Yeah, he's been the player of the championship, really. He's a player that's, you know, I suppose when Kerry season finishes, the GA people that go to the games, to all the games, they're looking at potential players.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the Kerry manager, I'm talking about the supporters.
Yes.
And this is a name that's coming up time and again, Liam Smith. Very impressive.
Very good basketballer as well, I can tell you.
Good hands.
Yes,
and
good hands,
you know, able to score. And then, like you mentioned names there, and you had in the likes of Caleb Tehan and Jack Brosnan into that team.
Yeah.
You know, Pat Kilkenny has been one of the best defenders at club level.
Yeah.
Over the last number. Man marker.
Yeah.
He's the player that's on the opposition's best player to nullify him.
Yeah.
Hugely impressive. But they have a very decent squad, and like John said, they're on a tremendous roll. Like, fantastic year for them.
Yeah.
A derby game, it's always difficult to call.
It is.
I felt last week I picked Beaufort. I thought they'd shade it.
Yes.
You know, but Glenbeigh-Glencar were in the position going into the last game. They could afford to rest players against Austin Stacks.
Yes.
Because they were already qualified.
They were, yeah.
You
they
know,
were the only team qualified, yeah.
The only team qualified.
Yeah.
That was a bonus, and they were afforded the chance of looking at other players. It's all about game time. And Peter O'Sullivan, super manager.
Oh, he's good,
doing a great job. And as well with Mid-Kerry also. But very astute. And Glenbeigh there on merit. But it was a real battle. And Beaufort will be very disappointed. You know, they were expected by a lot of people, neutrals, to win the game.
Yeah.
But championship football, it's so competitive in Kerry. Very difficult.
And that intermediate championship, as we've said here, and has been said by many people, is difficult. It's a tough competition. It's a hard competition. Jimmy, could you see, and I just move on to the next day briefly, Liam Smith maybe taking on Joe O'Connor, an inter-county player, and Liam up against him. Do you think he'd have a chance against him?
No, I will say, in Joe O'Connor, you're talking about another one of the players of the weekend.
Yes.
He was absolutely outstanding. I'll tell you, I still think Joe O'Connor would have that slight little edge as yet. Put Liam Smith into a Kerry training regime, and we'll see. But I'll tell you this much, I'd have no problem paying in at the gate to that.
You don't listen. The last time you paid in at the gate anywhere because of your Croke Park card, the last time you paid in at the gate was shortly after your confirmation, when your mother brought you along to a game other than a small game where you get in for nothing anyway. So how can you talk about paying in anywhere? Is that true?
I always give my name as Murt Murphy.
Oh, that's okay. Well, you'll be allowed in for nothing, because just to keep Murt Murphy quiet. So that's the Glenbeigh game. Glenbeigh-Glencar causing a small bit of a surprise, not a major upset because it's a derby, as John Kennedy said, but at the same time, a 1 point win, 11 points to 10 there, and Beaufort will be disappointed. And we'll be back now shortly after a break. Right, now we're going to turn to another game in the quarterfinals of the Kerry Petroleum Intermediate Championship, and that was out in Glenflesk on a very sun-drenched and beautifully prepared pitch out there. Fair play to the club in Glenflesk, and they looked after the media well there. My son Jimmy were doing that game live on Clubber. That was Glenflesk against Long Rangers. And with about a couple of minutes to go, because we were also going on to Rathmore, we were kind of saying, well, they're a point or two up and they'll hang on, but they didn't hang on because the game, Fiacre Clifford got the equaliser in about the 64th minute, and then we were treated to 10 minutes each way extra time, and Jimmy had to hire a Formula 1 car and take a back road through Shrone into Rathmore pitch, and he arrived there a half an hour after the game had ended. But anyway, talking about the Glenflesk game, I have to say I really enjoyed that game. So maybe before I move across to the lads, Jimmy, you were actually there in live and living colour. What a game and what a contest. First of all, talk about how good the game is, and then I'll ask you, did you feel that Glenflesk might have left it go in normal time? But first of all, the game, full attacking, full-blooded football.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
3:19 to 2:18.
Yeah.
You know, extra time down to the wire with 2 minutes time left in the extra time. It was 2:18 apiece.
Yeah.
And Long Rangers just had enough to get over the line. They got a goal. And they had a chance of another one, and Sean Cleary quite wisely fisted it over the bar to put 4 between them, and that was that. But absolutely brilliant game.
It was.
I do think Glenflesk will have huge regrets.
Will they?
They were 6 points clear at one stage in the second half.
There were 7 even clear, 6 in the second half,
Had chances to put it away.
If you remember, Jimmy,
take them.
Yeah, if you remember, and I know you don't, right? If you remember, with a couple of minutes to go, right?
What I remember is Murt Murphy saying when Darrell Roach had the ball, oh, for God's sake, he's not going to try and kick it over from there, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, good score.
Yes, in NMD. Because nobody
Look
knew
at the
that I was
video
saying,
evidence, people.
Yes, I did on 3 occasions, I think. And they were from impossible angles. Now, tell me this. If you remember, they were a point up, and it was deep in injury time. The ball was worked forward by Long Rangers, and Tom Quickleton at midfield got it, and he kicked it wide. Yeah. And you said the most prophetic thing you've ever said to me, the most truthful thing you probably ever said on air as well. You said, this kick out, whoever gains this, it's going to be crucial. This kick out is crucial, whoever gains possession. The ball broke right in front of us.
It wasn't exactly.
Yeah,
hard calculation, like it was a 1 point game.
It was, but it was something that you would never say because you were from Spawn, you're a pessimist. So, what I was saying was, before you rudely interrupted me again, Jimmy, the turnover. The ball was grabbed by Kevin Bowler, the number 11, from the breaking ball. He careered forward. He had a man to his left, man to his right. Couple of defenders trying to get back, including Oisin Daly, and I'd say it was Sean Cleary, the number 4, that got back as well. It could have been Shane Clifford, 1-2. And it came to Roach, Dylan Roach, not Ian. It came to Dylan, I think. Dylan Roach got the ball. He looked like he was fouled, to be fair. The ref didn't give it. Now, afterwards, I was on a few of our Rangers fellas who said it was a free in. We got away with one there. The ball broke, to make a short story long or a long story short, and eventually it came to Jamie Moynihan, who, if you remember, sent the ball back out to into his own half, into the breadbasket of Tommy Bowler. But Tommy was stationary. He was.
That's right.
He had been down with cramp, to his credit, so I'm not blaming. Gerard Hassett came around him, grabbed the ball, worked the ball around, gave it to the shooter, Fiacre Clifford, to draw level and extra time. Then they went down and won it. That 2 minutes of play, that sequence, Whittleton's miss, to the kick out, to the free that wasn't, to the turnover, that was crucial.
Isn't
it well described by me?
Sometimes these games really do come down to moments. That was absolutely the crucial moment, but there were easily 100 of them in that game that could have gone either way. I have to say, there wasn't a single footballer on the field who didn't perform.
Yeah, and
every one of them played out of their skins on both sides.
And Dara Roach, the save by the keeper as well from Dara. He was going through.
Right, yeah.
It was incredible. They didn't miss chances. Now Dara had a great game, 9 points.
He was stunning. He kicked. I thought all the Roaches.
Jimmy Moynihan. You had the 3 Roaches. I believe they're 3 brothers, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
Darren, Ian and Dylan.
That's right, Same mother, same father.
All of them are good. That's what brothers are, Murt. Jesus.
All right, I just wanted to check the family tree. Go on.
Thought Jamie Moynihan, absolutely outstanding. He's becoming a great footballer. Owen Clifford, centre-back for Lone Rangers. He absolutely dictated the game.
You might have to take Paddy Clifford or David Clifford.
I thought the half-back lines. We talked about Joe O'Connor and Liam Smith. I think put him up against Paddy Clifford again. I would happily go to see that.
Would you wouldn't pay this stand up?
I absolutely no.
No, you won't. Yeah, well, that's once we've established that. I'm happy.
But now, just brilliant game.
Totally enjoyable.
I will say.
Do you enjoy me coming down the ladder?
I'm not quite sure that the better team overall actually came out of it. And I mean no disrespect to Lone Rangers, but Glenflesk will know themselves. They had the winning, and it just slipped away from them.
By the way, what did you think of the camera work by Ozzy and the man in controls, D? Do you think it was satisfactory?
I thought it was absolutely outstanding, considering myself and Ozzy had some kind of a lube on in the press box with him. I don't know what he was jabbering about. It was embarrassing for all.
Was that the guy who was able to get up and down the ladder quickly?
I remember at one point him saying, "Oh my God, he's not going to try and shoot from there, is he?" Nobody knew what to say. We just felt sorry for the man.
Right, it's new enough said now and discredit me like I'm trying to enhance my reputation here, and it's taking a savage beating. Now to a man whose reputation didn't take a savage beating over the weekend. Both of you certainly saw them in Listowel, didn't you, Lone Rangers? So you know Lone Rangers. So do you think that this win will bring them on? Or maybe, a close shave like that, you would know Nashville with Tarbert. Although he won most of your games, got to the final. I
think overall, even though they didn't show it in the first night against Kerrins O'Rahilly's inside Austin Park, I think of the 4 teams that are left, Austin Stacks, Lawn Rangers, from an overall perspective, have the best forward options of the 4 teams that are left. Even with Fossa having the Cliffords and Emmett O'Shea. But from a 10 to 15 point of view, and from the 17, 18, 19, 20 that they can bring off the bench, again, I think the Killorglin men have the best forwards.
I think 5 points. 3 from Matthew Leslie and 2 from
Yeah,
John Burke.
three from Matthew Leslie off the bench, 2 from John Burke. Stephen Gannon didn't even come on the last day, I don't think, off the bench. Kerry Minor last year, very fast. He could be used as a real...
Hassel didn't score until added time, though.
He can be an impact sub.
Time.
But they got 3...
Owen was brilliant.
They got 3-12 out of that starting forward line the last day as well. The 2 Hassets, Fikra Clifford is the playmaker.
Dara Cleary. Tighter.
Dara Cleary is
very effective.
Dara Cleary is an excellent forward, very fast as well. Then you have Tighter and Patrick Daly do a lot of the hard graft in the forward line, and then they do have those 3 forwards that can come off the bench. So I do think, especially in the later stages of games, before they empty that bench, I think you need to have a 3, 4, 5 point lead on Lawn Rangers to be fully safe to get over the line.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I agree with John. I think that Lawn Rangers, they're a team on the way up. Again, we've spoken a lot about managers and management teams. Liam Hassett, he's been there.
Shane Brosnan is there. Shane played with Strand Road for years.
Yeah, huge experience.
Married in Killorglin.
They've been on an upward curve, Lawn Rangers. They've had a great youth policy.
Yeah.
These are coming through now.
Frank Russell has brought that team up along at the youth level as well.
Yeah, a lot of great work in there. And I think that they're in the semi-final. Going out to Glenflesk was a tough ask. Glenflesk, a very tough team to play out there.
Seamus Moyne on the sideline there.
To get
John
the result.
B. O'Donoghue, isn't it?
John B. is right,
John B, yeah. Good. And Pat Flanagan trains them like.
Yeah.
They were very, very fit.
Yeah. And it's like, it is a common denominator on a lot of the clubs at the moment, the quality of people involved with them on the line, the experience they have, and it's reflected in the teams, and I think it is reflected in the football. And like Jimmy said earlier on, there were cracking games at the weekend, and again, teams went at it.
They did.
There was defensive play, of course, but the teams were going at it. They were beating their men. They were shooting from the zone.
They were.
They weren't shooting in impossible angles, but when they were in the zone, they went for a shot.
Darrell Roach did shoot from impossible angles, as Jimmy told us.
Exactly. But I think it is refreshing as a farmer forward to see guys 30, 35, 40 yards out, having a go, rather than turning back and giving it back to their half-back line.
Absolutely.
And I think that the supporters are relishing it, to be fair.
Considering what we've been watching all year at the county level, it certainly is really refreshing to see this type of football at club level. And as you say, some of the scores, the quality scores in all the games we've been watching and all the games that have been live and clubber, and that's something I've heard from some of my friends. Jimmy would say you have very few of them, but I have a few nationally, not locally, who would tell me that they watch certain games. I don't know, watched it legally or illegally, but they watch them and they can't believe how good the club scene is in Kerry at intermediate level. They think that Fossa, Clonsarales, Long Range, these are senior teams. They don't understand their intermediate. It's a great.
I was just going to make the point. I was just going to make the point there that it's been said for ages that the intermediate championship is possibly the best in the whole county. And if you look at the 4 teams that were knocked out at the weekend, Clonsarales, Beaufort, Glenflesk, and Killarney Legion. They're all high quality, high calibre teams, and they haven't even made it to the semi-finals.
Killarney Legion and Clonsarales were in county finals in the last decade. Legion under Peter Keane lost to South Kerry, didn't they? And Raleig's lost to Stacks. David Moran get injured, that unfortunate. Is that 2021? Was it? Whatever it was.
2021,
So, definitely. Now we will come back because I have a question to ask you about the Lawn Rangers defence against the Fossa forward line. But we'll leave that to the preview, and we'll have a quick sconce now at another game, and this is the game, of course. John O'Dowd, definitely you were heard commentating on this, I believe, on Sunday, although I turned down the sound. No, I was working actually. It was Austin Stacks 2-9, Killarney Legion now 13. Was it as close as that scoreline would suggest?
It was, even though Austin Stacks, from probably the start of the game, were the better team. They got the ideal start. They got a penalty after 2 minutes. Now, very lucky that the penalty was converted. It was a definite penalty, but Adam Curran's shot was a brilliant save by Brian Kelly. He touched it onto the post, and as it came back, it hit him in the back and went right back into the net. So Stacks couldn't have asked for a better start than that.
Yeah.
But even though they always appeared to be in relative control, they could never pull away from Legion. Legion just dug in and dug in and dug in. They were 2 points down at half time. They kept in it really until Joe O'Connor really decided the game in the third quarter. He turned it into it.
2-8
yeah, when he set up that goal for Paddy Lane, and he could have fisted it over the bar easily himself, Joe, when he came in along the left wing. But he saw Paddy Lane at the back post. It was a bit like the way Paul Ganey set up the goal for Dara Dan O'Sullivan for Dingle in the senior game the previous day. When they got that goal, they went to 6 points ahead. But then after that, Stacks were pretty much terrible for the last 10 to 15 minutes of the game. Their game management was all over the shop. They only scored one more point, I think, and that was another Joe O'Connor point. In the end, they were kind of hanging on a bit, even though Legion were missing James O'Donoghue. Obviously, William Shine has a long-term injury, and Finbar Murphy and Ryan O'Grady were just back from overseas.
Off the plane, yeah.
So they only came on near the end. But, I think it's fair to say, if Legion had all their forwards who they would like to have in that team at their disposal, it could easily have been an upset, because Stacks, while the better team, they didn't exactly impress.
Yeah. Be very careful giving a lot of praise to Legion. You're in a Crokes household here. Do you understand that? And there could be severe repercussions on you. You could be barred from Jaxie's for comments like that. But yeah, I'm hearing you with Legion. John, Stacks. Sometimes I look at Stacks, right, and I think they're an enigma. And what I mean by that is they have produced over the years some of the best footballers in the county and in the town of Tralee. But for some strange reason, they just don't put it together. Or do they have the best team? Is it an embarrassment of riches and you don't know your best 15? Because if you look at, I can't understand, and look, Jimmy, the manager of
Billy Lee.
Billy, Jimmy. Jimmy's the brother. Billy Lee. I can't understand how Mike O'Donnell is starting, for example. What a player he is, like, for the last couple of years. Big, strong man, ball man, like, huge. But anyway, there are, they have inter-county players like Joey Nagel is playing, Heinrich at the back, you have Paul O'Sullivan, good South Kerry man, good Valencia man back in the day, and Dylan Casey, Tansley's in goals, you have at midfield, you have Barry Shannon. Jeez, Barry was an inter-county player. I'd say you had him as a minor, had you?
Yeah.
You had? Yeah, no, he improved since, by the way. You had Joe O'Connor at midfield, Kerry Senior. And you have... No, that was the cut at you, by the way. You have Daniel Kirby, then the half-forward line just after coming out of school, we'll say. Yeah. And look at the full forward line. Paddy Lane, you have Greg Horn, who was in with Kerry, and then you have Keane Purcell, the goal-getter. So they have so many players, but what's the perfect mix? Do they know their best team? That's basically what I'm asking.
It's a good question, Martin. It has been asked a few times in the last couple of weeks. But they have an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
To know the best 15 sometimes. They were probably the bookies' favourites to win the championship before there was a ball kick.
Oh, they were hot. 7-4 or something. Yeah.
And they're still favourites, I suppose.
They are, yeah.
Mind.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to go out and win it.
Yeah.
And they're doing enough. Like John said, they were just got over the line, hanging on in the end. It's a hypothetical question, but if William Shine and James O'Donoghue had been playing, would it have been a different game? Legion coming into Connolly Park, a tough ask, but they gave it everything.
Yes.
And not impressive, got over the line, but you look at the amount of players on that panel that have worn the green and gold jersey at minor, 20s and senior. It's an incredible bunch of players, and they're in the semi-final. I think they'll have to improve quite a bit.
Yeah.
If they're going to justify the favourites tag and win it.
But as I said, Jimmy, they have Michael O'Donnell as a sub, like Shane O'Callaghan. Now his mother thinks that I hate Stacks, so I better mention him because she'd kill me. She works inside the JA pavilion, as you know, and every time she reckons, I never give him a mention.
To be honest, for me, last year, a big problem with Stacks was that essentially they were playing Shane O'Callaghan almost as a lone forward, and everyone else playing back behind him. And to me, it wasn't football that I want to watch. At least now, I mean, Keane Purcell is having a storming year.
Yeah, he didn't score. I don't think that.
No,
did he?
No.
Go on. Yeah.
No, but just he's.
Oh, I know. I'm
playing
not. No, I'm not having a go at you this time.
But I'm saying, Paddy Lane, in particular.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was always
He'll
wondering.
have to
his
grow up.
first year minor. You know.
Yeah. Is he grown up?
He's raw. He has a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Great talent.
But he's been producing it now. He's been producing for the under 20.
He's not afraid. He's a gutsy little devil.
He's prepared to have a go, isn't he? Like, and that's, that's good in an inside forward. You know.
Stacks are the under 20, under 21 county champions. They're the minor league champions. Obviously, they're still in the group stage of the minor county championship. But Stacks are featuring. They're underage. For years now, has been absolutely phenomenal. But as you said, they were always struggling to get a senior team to gel out of that, to have the nucleus of it, and it's changing. As you say, Michael O'Donnell, Shane O'Callaghan, these were absolutely standout, nailed on guys. Quilter,
that's right.
You know,
John,
guys like this.
Yeah, he's a name that doesn't seem to be around on the panel at the moment, whether he's abroad or...
I'm not too sure. John O'Donnell, did Greg Horn... I can't understand Greg Horn as a full forward. Did Greg Horn play out the field? I'd be more inclined to play his brother, who was on the sub and came on, Connor, who had a very good under-21 campaign, as you know, one of the players of the under-21 championship. I'd imagine I'd have Greg Horn around the middle third, the 40. He could help the midfield.
Yeah, he didn't really stay inside as a full forward. No, it was really left to Paddy Lane and Keane Purcell.
So a two-man full forward.
Inside, Greg had a roaming role. I think Fiachna Mangan played very well the last day, kind of in a creative playmaking role. You know, he doesn't do flashy things, but he always keeps the attack.
Like his dad, Cullum.
He keeps the attack ticking over. He doesn't lose possession that often. And what they do have is they do have a really good defence. And like Dylan Casey kind of marshalled the whole thing really well the last day. Now you can say Legion didn't have their best forward line on duty, but Stacks were also missing Jack O'Shea and Ronan Shanahan, who were two certain starters in that defence. And yet, if you look at the six that were there without those two lads, it was still a very strong defence. I think Michael O'Donnell did enough in his cameo the last day. I think he will start on Sunday.
Of course, we're not in the camp. We have to stress as well, we don't know, is a guy carrying an injury, coming back from an injury. Sometimes you'll be looking and saying, why is he not starting? And there might be a very good reason why he's not starting, and there might be only just giving him a half now, trying to get... but we'll know more now from the semi-final, Jimmy. Jimmy, have you some historical fact now? Some really...
Nothing historical, but just when we talk about Legion forwards, for me, Legion have been a team who've been underperforming for a number of years.
I give up.
And a part of the reason for
We've gone Glenflesk, Fossa, and now you're back out the Legion. I mean, there is no club in East Kerry.
Is because they were constantly trying to find a reliable full forward. They had Murt Murphy in there, they tried Will Shine there, they had Padraig Lucy in there, I think Jimmy O'Sullivan was in there for a while. And no one was really sticking. And they had, Ryan O'Grady and Will Shine and these kind of to feed off that central figure.
No, David O'Sullivan.
This year, for me, David O'Sullivan has been an absolute
He was waiting for a while once he's come back. He was very good underage, David.
Yeah. But he for me...
Did he play with the Sim? Did he your college that you went to back in the day?
He absolutely did. He won a Carnivora.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. You did. Did you win a Carnivora with the Sim?
He actually... I think he
held the cup anyway.
He scored the 2 goals in the 2010 Hogan Cup final. I think he got 2 penalties for the time.
He kicked 7 the weekend, that's it here.
7 points he did,
Good kicking.
And if you look at it, if you were to take,
he makes the players around him better.
If you were to take away, if you took away Joe O'Connor's fantastic performance, because he was clearly the man of the match, especially on his second half performance, Cian Gamble and Darragh Lyon were absolutely fantastic for Legion. Darragh Lyon is most certainly a player that's going to be looked at over the next few months.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I've been talking to Enda Walsh, and he told me not to mind what Jimmy Darcy says that Darragh Lyon is a very good player, right? And that he just no.
Enda knows both of us well.
Now the point is, I was just about to say that the only teams that Jimmy hasn't in East Kerry sort of had a go at is Dr. Crokes and Rathmore. Obviously he won't have a go at his own crowd Spa and Kilcummin. They rob players, well they don't, but they get players from them. Now, we'll be talking next week, hopefully we'll be doing a preview of the senior club final, and Dr. Crokes will be dealing with the Dr. Crokes Rathmore game, which Dr. Crokes won obviously, and they'll be playing Dingle in that final. So I still have another week to get Jimmy Bard out of most clubs in East Kerry.
I welcome the challenge.
I welcome the challenge. Now I think we will take a short break and we'll go forward then, and we are going to discuss the two semi-finals of the weekend, and I'm going to actually ask the lads this time to nail down their selection and not come back next week and tell me that they predicted that such and such a team were going to reach the final when actually they did exact opposite. So I'll be depending on our producer here and our floor manager, John C. O'Shea. It's his own bar actually, so he probably has a vested interest. I'll check it with him, and he will tell us next week who was right and who was wrong. And I bet you at the end of the day, boys, I will hold the upper hand here.
How much?
And now we turn to the Kerry Petroleum Intermediate Club Championship semi-finals. They're on this coming Sunday. They'll be live and exclusive only on Clubber TV, and they're on in Fitzgerald Stadium here in Killarney. And the first game is starting at 2 o'clock, and that features Austin Stacks, of course, senior champions on multiple occasions, and they'll be taking on Glenbeigh-Glencar. So a fascinating contest to open the day's play in the Fitzgerald Stadium. So now speaking to you here from a beautiful location, Jacksy's in High Street, I think it is, in Killarney. And the weather is it's warm here. I put on my coat just to keep the heat in and keep the wind out. So now, lads, we are going to have to assess this. And you're going to tell me, well, Jimmy, you tell me very little, except try and describe again those great points that Darragh Roach scored. Darragh actually contacted me and said, Murt, I'm delighted with your performance. That was a wonderful commentary you gave.
I remember looking at them thinking, Darragh's well capable of putting these over. I don't know what anybody else was thinking.
Yeah, well, you were taking notes at the time. You weren't looking at the play. But anyway, let's talk about the first semi-final. That's Austin Stacks, and I'm going to start with a man who did a few Austin Stacks games. John O'Dowd, Austin Stacks and Glenbeigh-Glencar. What's your gut feeling, and where will this game be won and lost? Is it the power of the Stacks, the Paddy Lanes, etc.? Their strong defence? Have Glenbeigh-Glencar a chance at midfield with McGillicuddy and Smith, and then the wily old foxes Gavin O'Grady and Dan up front? How do you read this?
I think obviously to have a real chance, Glenbeigh-Glencar need to have a full strength team at their disposal. So Pat Kilkenny hopefully was just a precaution maybe that necessitated his withdrawal from the game the last day. They'll need him. They'll obviously need Gavin O'Grady back from his holiday. They will be competitive for certain around the middle of the park. They're very strong at the back through the centre with Tommy Quirk and Liam Roach. Jack Brosnan, as John said earlier, is a fine player, and like the likes of Darren O'Sullivan, Calum Tehan, Gavin, they're very reliable in a scoring sense for Glenbeigh. I do think this is bonus territory now for Peter O'Sullivan and the Mid-Kerry team. I think they can go into this game. I don't see pressure on their shoulders, only whatever pressure they put on themselves. I think they can go out and give this everything they have for the 60 plus minutes and see where it takes them. On the other hand, there's gigantic pressure on Austin Stacks. They simply cannot afford to lose this match.
The last semi-final was last year.
That'll be in their minds. Yeah. They would have expected to be in the final last year, lost on penalties. They cannot afford that to happen. They probably will be without Jack O'Shea and Ronan Shanahan again. They might make a couple of changes, maybe one anyway. I do expect Michael O'Donnell to come back into the starting lineup. Stacks will just have to get a more consistent level of performance over the game. I think they have the better team. I think they definitely have the better bench. If it comes down to the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I think they have the extra players at their disposal to get over the line. But at the same time, they have to stand up and be counted now. Yeah. Look, you are favourites for a competition from the very start for a particular reason. And as John says, they mightn't have set the world alight, but they've kept going and they've got through the group stages, they've got through the quarter-final, and I do expect them to get through this semi-final.
Yeah. John Kennedy, obviously coming from a smaller rural club like yourself, you won 3 All-Ireland senior medals with Kerry. How difficult is it for a small club? And let's face it, Glenbeigh is a smaller club, okay? But it's in Mid-Kerry, at least it's in civilization. But if you're looking at a club, if you're looking at Stacks from Tralee and the name they have, and, you know, people talk about Austin Stacks, the great team back, you know them, give me the history of them, the Landers, the Bracker Regan, all the guys, you know, the Mikey Sheehy's, you know, Muriera, you played with enough of Stacks guys, Denny Long, you know, I mean, this is a club steeped in history. They belong, they believe, and probably should be, a senior club. And they're meeting really a team that probably is a Premier Junior club with aspirations to be an intermediate club, and a good intermediate club, Glenbeigh-Glencar. How does that dynamic work? A sort of a giant can, in other words, Glenbeigh-Glencar produce a giant killing act?
Yeah, it's the beauty of the Kerry County Championship, I suppose, isn't it? How competitive it is, Murt. The Stacks have gone down to intermediate. Like you said, going back 70s and 80s, you had 5 or 6 All-Stars, and you had Denny Long, who was an All-Star from Cork. Incredible club with incredible tradition. Yeah. Unique history. All the All-Ireland medals in Rock Street. But that'll count for nothing at Sunday Fistula Stadium, because, you know, Glenbeigh, I suppose, it stands at 1 game each in so far this year.
Because they beat them in the County League.
They won the County League, and then Stacks won the last game in the group stages.
Which was effectively a dead rubber. Well, you know, it was top of the table. It didn't matter much.
Glenbeigh are, like John said, on bonus territory, I think. They won't be looking at it that way, but from the outsider looking in, they've had a great year so far. The pressure will be on Austin Stacks. They're favourites to win the championship. As we said earlier, what's their best 15? There's an embarrassment to riches, just to get the balance right. Yeah. So much competition for places that, you know, it's I'd say a problem for Billy Lee and his management team.
Yeah. But it's a nice one to have.
It's a nice problem to have. It's the opposite to like you said, a lot of rural clubs struggling to get 15. Yeah. You know, these guys have another 15 on the line, and you know, would they be weakening the team if they come on? You look at the guys that have worn the Kerry jersey, super talent, great individual talent up front, like Paddy Lane, Cian Purcell, you know, young Kirby, just out of the minor team. They have no baggage. These guys are going in with no pressure. No. Whereas some of the older guys coming back, they'll be looking at the likes of Joe O'Connor and the Kerry contingent, Armick Heinrich and Joey Nagel, you know, Dylan, these guys to lead by example. I feel, I agree with John, I think Stacks will get over the line the next day. You know, they'll probably get a real battle from Glenbeigh. Yeah. But I think it'll be the manner of the way they'll play and you know, the score line that they put up. It's not about winning. I think that from a Stacks point of view, getting to a final, they'll need to put on their best performance of the year so far, I think. You know, because it has been a patchy intermediate championship for a team of their calibre and of their strength and depth.
Very good. Jimmy, look, the two boys have obviously gone with the form team, the strength, the team with the name from the big town, as it were, and former sort of senior champions, All-Ireland club champions, and they're up on this in the intermediate grade, and they want to get out of it. They didn't get out of it the first year, and they want to get out of it now. They have young talent, they have the older talent, we call them more experienced lads. Do you think that it's as simple as that it's going to be the combination of a big club like I don't
Stacks
actually think
win it? although history and tradition do count, I don't think they impact as much on a game like this. Like John said, Glenbeigh-Glencar are coming into this with nothing to lose. Have a go. You've had a great year. You've given it everything. You're going to be applauded off the field no matter what you do at the finish. You may as well go out there and go for it.
Yeah.
Stacks, to me, are very much a coming club. I think Tralee football is very much on the rise anyway. When I say they're a coming club, I'm actually talking All-Ireland Senior Club Championship
10
level.
years' time, 20 years' time?
4 or 5.
Oh, fair enough.
I think it's coming fairly fast. I think they were actually unlucky to go down. They were missing an awful lot of players at the time. It was just a kind of a confluence of factors, all of which went against them, all of which took them down. As I say, I think the age profile, Rahilly's age profile was costing them. There wasn't enough coming up through the ranks. That's not the case with Stacks. There's plenty coming up through the ranks. They want to get back senior. They got caught last year, and they were unlucky enough. It went down to penalties against Fossa. Absolutely cracking game against a great team, and that'll happen. Can Glenbeigh-Glencar match what Fossa did last year? I like Glenbeigh-Glencar. As I said, Neil Smith has been an absolute revelation to me. None of us need to be told anything about the likes of Darren or Gavin or
Pat,
Colin McGillicuddy is there with a long time. All of these guys, they're a very good team. Are they going to be able to live with Stacks' scoring power? And Stacks have scoring power. To me, they didn't show it enough last year. This year, and maybe being in Division 2 helped. But all of those guys have been putting up totals and know how to do it. And I just can't see them holding all of Stacks over a full hour. I said it right from the outset of this competition, and I know Stacks are not going to like me saying it, but as far as I'm concerned,
you might have led a Tralee club to
I look at what Stacks have, and I honestly say, you might not want to hear it out loud, lads, but you should be looking at an All-Ireland intermediate title. Not just a Kerry title.
Hang on a second now.
You should be able to look further.
You must jump the second last hurdle before the last hurdle.
Absolutely. But if you really want to do that and be that and become what we all know you're capable of, this is a game where I want to see it.
Be warned that Jimmy Darcy's on the tail. He's already tried to stop the Crokes. He already tried to stop Glenflesk. He did manage to do that. He tried to stop Fossa. He hasn't done it yet. Obviously, he stopped his own club a long time ago. So here we go now, and he's turned to Tralee, and he wants to stop the Stacks. He's telling the Stacks that they're All-Ireland intermediate club champions. We're not talking about senior, intermediate club champions, and they still have to beat Glenbeigh-Glencar. So, because of that defiance being showed by him, and a complete insult to me and from Glenbeigh, I'm going to say Glenbeigh-Glencar to surprise Stacks on Sunday. My heart is overruling my head there. I think that's fair enough, lads.
That's absolutely.
The heart to win out over the head. You're not into relationships, though, so you're not?
Nothing wrong with it. I've watched a few Hallmark movies in my time.
Have you watched a few chick flicks? Okay, let's go on to the second game. And this is the first one is a big one, obviously, but the second one, people are really looking forward to Long Rangers against Fossa. I was told during the break to say Fossa, not. There's a man at the door who's watching, keeping an eye on pronunciation, and as he says, it's Fossa, so it's not Fossa, it's not Fossa. So anyway, Fossa or Fossa, whoever they are, Fossa are going to be playing Long Rangers. Now, I've seen a lot of Long Rangers. I've only seen Fossa on Clubber, but I've been very impressed by them, and it promises to be a cracking contest. I'm going to start with Jimmy this time, since he's not liked in Fossa. So Jimmy, now you're looking here. Now be careful here now, because you're going to tell me at the end of this that you expect Fossa not alone to win the semi-final, but they're also going to be in the intermediate All-Ireland final, where they'll probably end up playing the Stacks, which is going to be some trick if they're going to manage it to me. But serious, do you think, and you're a good tactician, right? Well, fairly good tactician. You watched a lot of football, young and old playing. Do you think that the Lone Rangers defence that you saw in Glenflesk on Sunday alongside a top-class commentator, do you think that they can hold the Clifford brothers, we'll say, at the start of Owen Talbot, Matt Rinnie, these guys? Like, you're looking at inter-county teams that have been able to do it. You look at a whole slew of Kerry teams last year in the club championship who weren't able to do it until Milltown Castlemaine won the final. And the previous year, nobody could do it. Are you telling me that Lone Rangers are that good at the back that they can do it?
I'll tell you, Lone Rangers, again, for me, have the kind of numbers they haven't had in a long time. They've always had great players. They haven't always had enough backup. But they've known their last couple of under-21 teams, they've gotten a lot of players out of those. They have a deep bench.
They're like stacks in one way with underage talent, aren't they?
Can you hold the Cliffords? Can you hold the O'Shea brothers?
You're trying to win back now with some kudos.
I would give Fossa a slight nod for this one. For me,
What?
I'd give Fossa a slight nod for this one.
You'll be back in the nugget before you know it.
And barred from bunkers.
yeah. But you do think that, would you? Yeah.
I think it'll be an absolutely cracking game. Now, a thing for me, Fossa lost the final last year to Milltown Castlemaine. Dingle lost out in the Munster Club final. In both cases, I don't think it was the individual games. I think that it was kind of fatigue after a long run that caught both teams when they really needed in that last quarter of an hour. I just thought the legs weren't there. The bodies just couldn't give that little bit more. I think this will be an absolutely cracking game. And I hate falling back in cliches, and it is a cliche at this stage, but everything is almost equal. How do you stop David Clifford? And you can't take a sledgehammer to him while he's sleeping. On a football field, how do you stop David Clifford? You know, that's
not
disrespecting any of his teammates, anybody else.
You stop the supply ball.
Paddy is absolutely lording games.
Yeah.
The thing about Paddy is, it's like there's 3 Paddy Cliffords on the field at any given time.
Yeah.
You know, he's everywhere, doing everything and always doing it right.
Yeah. 3 persons in one God.
Lone Rangers are coming, but
are you into religion?
This isn't the year.
This isn't the year for Lone Rangers.
You show me a fellow who can turn water into wine. We'll talk business, all right?
I know, right. But talking about water into wine, you are now dishing Lone Rangers and saying, having praised them and said that they're coming, and now you said like they might as well not show up because they're going to be marking not 1 Paddy Clifford but 3 Paddy Cliffords. So that makes, I'm trying to think now logically here, okay, which is difficult for me. I am trying to think logically.
I didn't mean to confuse you, Murt. I'm sorry for that.
But, well, I know there's David Clifford and 3 Paddies, and there's 3 O'Shea brothers. That's 7 of them. I know what they'll have to drop a couple, Jimmy. But you were saying basically that you think Fossa should be able to edge this one out.
I do, and I think it'll be a high-scoring game.
That'll be fine.
I think it'll be a great game to watch, but I think Fossa will have maybe 2 points over them in the finish.
Fossa, not Fossa.
Sorry.
Right, it's okay. Our speech and language man is gone. He's been called to the bar. I don't mean he's gone to study law. He's been called to the bar. Now, John, listen, you have been known as a Fossa admirer for a long time, right? You're here now have a chance of making a case for Lone Rangers. Lone Rangers, Killorglin, the educated me in Killorglin, would you believe? Some would say poorly, shut up, right? And I would know a lot of Killorglin lads, I would know their parents, etc. And I would say that they're a club that really need a feel that they should be seener, and you have to earn the right to be there. So they're going to be going all out, and they're going to say, if we can stop the supply of ball going into David Clifford, that's half the battle done. How do they do that?
I think Lawn Rangers and Liam Hassett and his management team, I think they're in a bit of a catch-22 situation here. Because like I said earlier, I do think overall of the 4 teams left, they have the best combined set of forwards plus the substitutes that are there. The question is on Sunday, do they trust their defenders enough to not filter lots of bodies back in an effort to curtail the Clifford brothers and Emmett O'Shea? Yeah. Have they the confidence to say, we back our defenders? Okay, you're probably going to have 2 around David, but do we have the courage to say, okay, we might play with 7 defenders, but we won't play with 8 or 9 and really clog up the space, because that will affect their forward power at the other end of the field if they concentrate too much on stopping the Cliffords. I think Lawn Rangers' best possibility of winning this game is to go for the match in an attacking sense and try and get as much ball as possible into their forward line regularly, not go overly defensive to keep the score down. I think that's their best way if they want to win the game. I know you could say maybe that's going to be a little foolish if you leave too much space for the Cliffords. And in that regard, I do think the loss of David Mangan this year and at this moment in time is absolutely massive. I think he's the leading candidate. If he was fit 100% and playing well, he'd be the man to pick up David.
Absolutely.
Like Owen Clifford might well go and pick up Paddy now from the start on Sunday. And I think they do have players maybe more size-wise that can pick up Paddy. Picking up David now is a different kettle of fish without David Mangan being there. Yeah. That's from the Rangers' perspective. As regards ball winning around the middle, Murt, you mentioned it there. Can they stop the supply? I'm not sure they can. I'm not sure that... I think Cian O'Shea and Matt Rennie can definitely break even, at least, with Stephen Seeley and Tom Whittleton around the middle of the park. And if they do that, I don't think I don't think Fossa would even need 50-50. Sometimes if they get 45-55 or even 40-60 and they can get the ball into the lads and Emmett O'Shea. Let's not underestimate Emmett O'Shea. This could be a player that could come along on Sunday and kick 4 or 5 points from play himself and could be the match winner if too much attention is paid to the Clifford brothers. Overall, I agree with Jimmy. Lawn Rangers are coming and definitely will be better over the next few years and have had a really good season up to now. And I think this is a really hard game to call. Lawn Rangers could win this game, but again, I think they have to really be brave if they want to win it. But I'd never back against the Clifford brothers in a game like this where they sense silverware is close. They sense a spot in the final is close. And let's not forget, Fossa feel that they left one behind them last year against Milltown Castlemaine. Now, they mightn't have been expected to go all the way to the final last year, but that doesn't mean that when they did get there, they didn't expect to go and win it.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think they can take another step to try and redress that result from last year. So I give a tentative nod to Fossa.
John, I'm going to put this to you. I would disagree a little with John O'Dowd there. I would think that if Lawn Rangers have any chance of winning this game, and they have, right, but if they are going to have the optimum chance to winning it, I think they're going to have to be smart at the back. I think they're going to have to funnel men back, right, because they have pace in attack. They have Dara Cleary, they have Fikra Clifford, right, they have the 2 Hassets. Like, if you have them around the halfway line and you have 2 of the other forwards back, say Patrick Daly, you have the wing forwards back or whatever, you will still be able to counter-attack and hurt Fossa because these guys have got pace. And even John Burke and some of the guys. I think if you take on Fossa 15 against 15, there isn't a hope that you prevent, number one, Paddy from being a hugely influential figure as he's been all year with the club, and David then to cut loose. The things he can do with a ball, I was oohing and ahhing about Dara Roach. Can you imagine what I'd be doing with David Clifford? So my point is, I think unless they pack the defence a little for a lot of the game and counter-attack, that they may have to dispense with their 2 tall midfielders, not both of them, and play more another player who either will be attacking or will help defensively to cut out the threat. Because you can be guaranteed, last Sunday, Glenflesk put high press against Long Rangers, and it upset them somewhat in the first half when they shot 4 or 5 points at the end coming up to half time. They applied the press from time to time. Jim Smiley and obviously Pat Flanagan had that devised. And you can be sure Liam Fitzmaurice, etc., they'll be thinking of that again. So my point is, would you favour Fossa or Long Rangers being cautious at the back and defensive and hope to take Fossa on the break, or would you go gung-ho?
I suppose, Murt, it's about getting the balance right, really, I suppose. If they go ultra defensive and close up at the back, you know, Fossa have the players like Keane O'Shea, Emmett O'Shea, Matt Rinnie to kick long range scores. They've done that throughout the year. They're capable of kicking from 40-45 metres out. Paddy, David the same. They're depending on the breakaway, but there's a physicality about Fossa. They track back, and I think Paddy's influence. He's playing at the half back line around the middle. He's working. He's hitting hard. I've seen him in 2 games this year for the club, and
the quarterback, as he's known as.
His work rate is incredible.
Not with the Steelers, though.
He plays on the edge, and some of the tackles are ferocious. And you know, Fossa have players to do that. On the other hand, if Long Rangers want to win the game, I think they'll have to have more players up above to ask questions of the Fossa defence when they do get possession. They can't be depending on the breakaway alone. So it is a fascinating contest.
Yeah. Should be a cracking game.
It should be a cracking game. I think the experience Fossa have gained. Let's not forget they came up from junior to intermediate last year, went all the way to the final.
Yeah.
The experience they got, I think the hurt they got from losing.
Do you think they're stronger this year?
I think they are.
Reen Collin is a year older. Some of these guys that come in are a year older, to be honest.
And as I said earlier on, I think the physicality of them and the way they're strengthened and conditioning.
Yeah.
You know, they beating Stax last year in the semi-final. You know, Milltown caught him in the final. They beat him in the final. Once they caught him, they beat him. Yeah. That was a huge disappointment. Maybe a lot of people were thinking they have the Stacks beaten, now they're going to win it. It didn't happen. And I think, I've said it previously, listen to Paddy in a few interviews.
Yes.
He's very controlled.
Yes.
He's very calculated in his interviews.
They're not looking too far ahead either.
No.
Next hurl.
We want to get to where we were last year.
Yeah.
That statement, I think, says it all.
Yeah.
I think they will get over the line, and I think they will beat Long Rangers. It could be a great contest.
It could be a great contest. So, we're going to summarise up. So, anybody who is watching this and want to find out who's going to win these 2 games, the 2 semi-finals, I think we're fairly unanimous in to a large degree. Jimmy, just to retrieve any possibility of you being allowed drive through Fossa, not of mine being accepted for a sandwich and the golden nugget, and then the possibility of you being crowned king of the Rock, now that you have been an All-Ireland intermediate final. I presume, are you going Fossa and Stacks?
It was one of the games of the year last year. I think we'll be seeing a repeat of it this year.
Absolutely. Deciding on penalties in the final, you seem to know a lot about what's going forward. No?
Could be.
Very good. I'll call you Mystic Jimmy. Right. John, what are you? First John O'Dowd?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Stacks and Fossa as well.
And I don't think the other North Kerry men, although you're on opposite sides in North Kerry, in neighbouring parishes. Are you the one parish? No, different parishes.
No, different parishes.
Longford and Ashley are the one parish.
That's right.
Meeting then they got together. What do you think is the... well, I'm not going to sowing distinction anywhere, by the way. Who do you think is going to make the final?
I think Stacks and Fossa again.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Stacks and Fossa too. Oh, I went for Glenbeigh-Glencar, did I?
You did.
I think it's going to be Glenbeigh-Glencar and Fossa, which means that I can't go down Rock Street. Anyway, I can't go down there anyway. So it's going to be really, really... I'm looking forward to it. Are you looking forward to those games? Yeah. I think they're going to be 2 great semi-finals. And because they're 2 great semi-finals, we're going to have them live on Clubber. So get your subscription in, buy your pass, annual pass. There's still the entire county championship to go. There's the senior final the following week. There's Premier Junior quarter-finals, semi-finals and finals. So there's a load of action to go yet. And for 140, now we say €150 with small change, you can see all of these in the comfort of your own home, and you can look back at the games and some of the games along the way as well. And I tell you, there's been some cracking games, as the boys have been talking about. And next week we'll be showing you highlights of one amazing game back in Dingle that the two Johns did. That was Dingle and Kinmare. And myself and Jimmy were up at the game in Rabig in Rathmore and Crokes, and they were much better obviously than Rathmore on the day, but it still came down to just a 2 point. Rathmore never gave up, but really Crokes with me Hawborns etc. back. So that's going to be next week. We're going to review that. Make sure and tune in. Now, as I said, we're going to have probably a longer show next Sunday, in terms of we're going to have a build up to the game. We hope to have some guys with All-Ireland medals other than John Kennedy. Sorry, I rephrase. We are going to some fellas with All-Ireland medals, including John Kennedy. We may even have a female involved next week. We like to include ladies as well. I'm being a ladies' man myself. All in favour. And also we will have interviews after the game, and with the club or man of the match. And what a prospect. You're going to have some of the best county players and club players, and we're looking forward to seeing the Cliffords, obviously, the O'Sheas. We're looking forward to Owen Clifford, another Clifford in Killorglin, Faircre Clifford, another Clifford. Is there any thing other than Clifford playing? Dara Kerry, he's a fine footballer. We have Shane O'Sullivan, what a goalkeeper. Then you go to Glenbeigh-Glencar, you'll see the old Wiley Fox, Dan O'Sullivan, Gavin O'Grady, possibly Pa Kilkenny, young gun in Liam Smith. Look at the stacks: Paddy Lane, Daniel Kirby, Joe Connor. It's unbelievable the amount of talent that's going to be on show. Don't miss it on Clubber. Get your subscription in, and as I said, there's a load of football to come from all around the country. And there's even Championship. Ballygunner should be a great game up in Waterford if you want to tune into that. Now, all that's left to do is to thank my panel, and I'm not thanking you yet. Thanking John Kennedy. Thanks, John. It's a long trip from where you came from to Killarney through a couple of fireplaces. Next we have John O'Dowd. Thanks, John.
Thank you,
Murt. Thanks for your contribution. And Jimmy, as always, knowledgeable. And I hope that I haven't made any divisive comments to you that make you unpopular in any part of the country, because from what I can gather, you are welcome anywhere you go. Another man who's welcome anywhere you can go, and it's not me, by the way, it is our producer, cameraman, stage manager, everything. That's John C. O'Shea. Thank him as well, and to thank him for providing his premises here in High Street in Killarney, Jack C's. And by the way, if you ever come to Killarney, this is a lovely pub to come into. You'll meet some great characters here, and there is, I don't drink it, but I believe there's a nice pint here as well, and it's right in High Street, right in the middle of Killarney, technically, and behind us you have all the mountains. Now I can't go through all of them for you because I'll be corrected, but they are beautiful. So when you come to Killarney, it's such a beautiful town, and then you have the cheap petrol. You will meet a jar, he'll bring you up the road. No traffic problems here in Killarney now since the summer is over. Hot summer, says you. So it's really a beautiful place to be. So if you want to spend some time before the lads go back to school, I would suggest that Tralee is the place to be. That's it for this week from Murt Murphy and all the lads. We'll be back with the games at the weekend, and then of course our preview next week of the Senior Club Championship Final.